Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today's video is going to be another monthly update. However, instead of talking about my future plans for this month, it's going to be more of a monthly recap because we're now pretty far through the month. Also, I apologize if you can hear dogs barking and birds. It's a beautiful day out, but it's a little bit warm in this room, so I have my window open for some breeze. But anyway, let's talk about April. Now, April has been extraordinarily busy. I'm someone who says that I'm busy a lot, and usually I mean it, but I'm busy in that I've got a lot to do. Whereas this month I have been out a lot and also had a lot to do. However, it's also been a lot of fun because some of those things I've been away to do have involved being an extra in a TV show, going to a vintage clothing expo in New York City, going up on a little antiquing adventure with my mom in New Hampshire, and my birthday. And prior to my birthday, my dad and I went to the garment district and I bought a whole bunch of fabric for a whole bunch of different projects. So on top of this video not really being about my future plans for April, it's also not really going to be about my future plans in general because I'm going to have a fabric haul that focuses on all the things I would like to make in a little bit more detail. And you'll be seeing that before the end of the month if all goes according to plan. However, I will include some photos now of my haul so you can get as excited about it as I am, because I'm really happy with everything that I purchased and all of the ideas that I have. A lot of them are for areas that I haven't worked in before and are color palettes that I haven't used before, and I just feel like everything that those fabrics are for are going to be really neat and different and kind of out of my element, but also combining things about historical fashion that I really enjoy. And I'm just feeling a lot more ambitious and excited than I usually am and than I have been for a very long time when it comes to sewing and just life in general. So that's really fantastic. That is the wonders of having a psychiatrist and being on medication that works for you. But before talking too much about this month, I feel like I should reflect back on March and talk about some of the things that I mentioned in that video. So the riding costume is officially done except for the veil, which I never got around to cutting out. So I really need to do that and get it hemmed so my dad and I can photograph it some weekend. I actually have a friend who has some horses and I would love to get some worn photos of the riding habit on a horse with their horses if they would let me, but the weather has been so warm recently that I'm a little bit concerned that I would pass out if I actually attempted that. So I might have to hold off on that for a few months, but I can at least get some photos of it in front of a pasture, which I think would be almost as nice. I've also finished up the Vivian Deer project at this point. It is hanging over there, so I can't really show it to you, but the skirt, the pants, and the jacket are completely finished, including the sleeves, which you guys will know I was really hardcore procrastinating on. And I made a hat to go with it as well. So now all that project needs are accessories. I need to buy a canteen and paint that to resemble historical ones. And I also need to find some sort of pair of Civil War era shoes that will work for it. I'm leaning towards buying a pair of American Duchess ones, but they wouldn't arrive for another 2 months, and I don't know if I want to put off photographing it for that long. However, I am really proud of that project, and I've invested a lot of time into it, so I'm open to buying an expensive accessory for it, especially if I feel like it'll be versatile and work with other projects too. However, the Eton jacket hasn't been as successful. I ended up not having enough velvet to complete the skirt for that project, and I became really frustrated on the sleeves. I liked the shape of them, but I was trying to bind them with velvet, and it was just taking forever, and I was getting so annoyed with it, I just didn't even want to look at it anymore. So you will see that project and the bin for that project, but not a lot's been happening on that one. As for the 1820s project, I finally made some progress on that, though I haven't worked at all on the Spencer jacket for it. I did get all of these strips hemmed for the skirt, so as soon as I draft the actual skirt, I can start gathering those down by hand, and hopefully that will end up coming together. I think once the skirt's done, I'll be a little bit more motivated to make the jacket, or at least that is my hope. Okay, neighbor's dogs were a little bit too noisy. Window is now closed. Breeze is now gone. It's very sad. Still haven't worked at all on the Elizabethan project. Don't know if that's a project that's ever going to happen. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We'll just have to wait and see. However, I did manage to finish the 1970s Sewing Through the Decades dress, and I also finished the 1980s project. It's behind me and you will see it in just a moment. I also made a cute little bunny dress for Easter / my birthday, since this year they fell on the same day. And I've been working quite a lot on some personal projects, which I'm really excited about. As I said, I've been feeling more motivated and ambitious than I have in a long time, and for the first time in a while, I've picked up some personal projects that I can work on in the evening when I'm not filming, and I've really been enjoying those. So I will introduce you to all of those, but they involve an 1890s project, which was also mentioned in my previous vlog. It has now started to take shape, as you might be able to tell by what's behind me. And I'm working on a Renaissance-inspired costume, which has some fantasy elements to it, which has been really fun. I haven't filmed that at all, but I'm going to have to start because I've been slacking when it comes to filming my monthly vlog this month. And then as for video content, I have been filming the entire process of making a medieval kirtle, which has a whole bunch of beading around the neckline and cuffs, and that dress is almost done. I'm going to do up the side seams today, and then I have a few eyelets to sew, and it has to be hemmed, and then it will be finished. And that is going to have its own video showing the entire making of process. I also made an 1850s petticoat this month. I ended up getting another 3 video contract with Skillshare, which I was excited about. It was kind of the push I needed to finally start making some hoop skirts and to have some financial support for making those hoop skirts because the materials were very expensive. Everything I purchased for 3 hoop skirts cost around $400, so having a sponsor for that content was really nice. And the next video I'm going to be doing with them is going up in May, and it's for an elliptical hoop skirt. I'm going to be following an altered version of a Nora Watt pattern, so that's something that I have to get sorted out sometime soon. I also have some bonus projects for Patreon. So I got the bonus project for the 1970s, and making this out of a red fabric won the poll. And then I have this pattern, which is a very easy Vogue pattern, which I'm going to make to go underneath the 1980s project since it consists of a jacket and a skirt. So I'm going to make that out of this vintage cotton, and I think it's going to be really lovely with the other materials I'm using for that project. I also would like to follow a pattern and do some sort of original design out of a Tula Pink fabric. I'm going to have a fabric haul going up very soon, as I said, that shows my New York City purchases as well as some purchases I made in New Hampshire since my mom and I went to Keepsake Quilting and I bought quite a lot there. But for my birthday, I specifically ordered a few of Tula Pink's new Pinkerville fabrics, and I'm dying to work with those because they're so wonderful and they're so up my street. They actually have unicorns on them. Like one of the prints she released was unicorns, and it's like a dream come true because I love her fabrics in general, and now she has fabrics with unicorns on them. So I really want to make something out that, but I don't have a design in mind just yet. Well, it's actually funny, while my mom and I were in New Hampshire, we went to a quilt show and I wore a dress made out of Tula Pink fabric, the green jellyfish dress, and I had at least a dozen people come up to me and ask if it was Tula Pink fabric and say that they loved my dress, which was really neat, because that's not the type of comment you get when you're just going about your day. So to have so many people to recognize the actual fabric I used was really neat. And then the only other projects that I really have planned is petticoat to go over top of the 1850s, hoop skirt, as well as 6 pieces that I have to make for McCall's, though they are a lot simpler than the pieces I usually make for them, so hopefully I can get those done relatively quickly. I have a series of blouses to make and a series of skirts to make, which are kind of wearable history. They're from the late 19s, but they could look really nice with modern blouses and be incorporated into really anyone's wardrobe, whether they wear vintage on a regular basis or not. So I'm excited about those, but that is something that needs to take priority. And the only other stuff I really have to mention is that Anastasia's Russian court gown ended up winning the poll about which of her garments I should make. So that is going to be a very big project, but it's also a project that I'm very excited about. I got most of the materials I needed in the garment district, so I'm ready to get started whenever I have a free dress form, so probably once I finish up that project. Then the only other 2 things on my list are the fact that I've recently gotten into rings, and also that I hung my light fixtures. So I know I mentioned in my last video that I wanted overhead lights. I have overhead lights now. They're fantastic. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I also hung dragons for the light fixtures because I am now a 22-year-old adult who appreciates that sort of thing. And then as far as rings go, while I was in New Hampshire, I bought an opal ring, a vintage 14 karat gold ring with an opal in it. And I liked it so much that I ended up buying 2 more rings for my other hand from Poppy Angel Hoff. And I really, really like them. I love how my hands look in videos now, especially with the painted nails. I just think they look really delicate and lovely. And now I want one for my middle finger on my left hand. So when my mom and I go up to Pennsylvania, I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Did I even mention Pennsylvania? I don't think I did. My mom and I are going up to Pennsylvania for a weekend, this weekend, so it's a very impromptu, very short little trip, but she's gotten back into quilting for the first time in years, like probably 4 years, and she's making me a quilt out of 1930s prints, and it's delightful. But it's really inspired her to quilt more. So she wanted to pick up some quilt fabric, and we don't have any good quilt shops on Long Island anymore. So she was saying how much she wanted to go to Pennsylvania, and I said, why don't we? So we're going to be leaving about 5 in the morning and getting up there around 9 and spending that entire day going through quilt shops. And then the next morning we're going to go to antique shops, and then we're going to head home on Sunday and hit up an antique market on our way out. So it should be fun, short, sweet, and when we get back, I have to get back to work because as you can probably tell by the giant list I just gave you, I've got a lot in progress, and as you will see by the upcoming haul, there's a lot I want to make in the future too. But for now, let's tour my sewing room, show you everything I've been up to, and that will be the end of this video. Let's start with the important stuff, the overhead light fixtures. I bought these from Amazon. You have to assemble every petal yourself, but they look quite cute. And then, hanging from command hooks, I have my dragon army, and it's adorable and delightful, and I don't want anyone to judge me because this is wonderful. Then down here, I have the medieval project with all of the detail work on it, and this really isn't doing it justice. Almost like a velvet, but it's a brocade, and it's got this brown base with all of these metallic threads woven through it, and this blue large floral pattern on top of it, and I love this fabric, and I'm so happy I'm finally using it. And I've used some of these beads that I purchased from Beads World many years ago, and I've also incorporated little bits of chain that have beads on them and some trim that I got from an estate, and then all of this is done by hand, all of the blue beading. I mean, all the beading's done by hand. And I've mirrored that around the cuffs as well, and then the cuffs are going to lace up, so I just have to sew the eyelets in and sew up the other seam, and then this will be done aside from a hem. And I'm pretty happy with it so far. I can't tell how it fits because the side seams are going to be the last step. I'm really hoping they'll be able to get it on over my head, but I'm really quite pleased with it. I think it's beautiful, and I think all the beads look really lovely with it. I also have some cool kind of geode beads that I picked up from Michael's the other day, and I've got some glass kind of crystal looking ones too, and I'm going to use those along with the leaf beads to embellish this crown so it matches the project. And I just bought this crown on Amazon for like 15 bucks, so I think that's going to be gorgeous, and I can't wait to do that. It's going to be fun. While I'm over here, I have the writing habit hanging up, and I also have the Vivian Dare project hanging up. So as I said, it's completely done except for accessories, so I just need to figure out what I'm going to be doing on that front, and then I can get some more photos of it. These are the new Chula fabrics that I bought. So I only bought one of the unicorn prints. It comes in 3 colors, but it didn't look that nice online. However, the scale of it in person is really pleasing, and I absolutely love it. So I'm definitely going to be buying it in more colors. And then I also bought 2 different colors of this owl butterfly print. So it's supposed to be moths or butterflies, but they look like owl eyes. So it's a really clever design, and I'm actually going to be following the 1970s Sewing Through the Decades pattern once again out of this fabric because I like that pattern so much. And then I think I'm just going to turn this one into a blouse to wear with my chambray and denim shorts. And then this one I have enough for a dress, so that will probably be made out of a vintage pattern. But this is the overflow fabric that I currently don't have room for, which is mostly stuff that I bought in New York City. That is the Eat jacket, which as I said is on hold. I have the skirt completely drafted at this point. I just don't have enough materials to make it, so that part of the project's on hold too. Then down here I have all of the strips for the 1820 skirt. As I said, these are all hemmed now. They were all hemmed by hand. It was quite the process, but an enjoyable process too. So I just have to draft the skirt so I know the measurement to gather all of those strips down to. This bin has the Forgotten Elizabethan project in it. This bin has all of the fabrics and my progress so far on the McCall's stuff. This bin has my Renaissance inspired project. So you're going to be seeing the full palette for this and what inspired this in a future video, but I will pull out what part I've worked on already. These are going to be the sleeves for it, and then this is the bodice. So the bodice is trimmed with matching puff trim and braided trim that I made out of the material. It's just strips of the material that I've gathered and manipulated. And this was inspired a lot by Cranach paintings. I really like the kind of heavy textured trims as well as the heavily puffed sleeves that feature in his artwork. So those were both inspiring for this piece. And I ordered a crown for this too, which I'm going to decorate with these little miniature skulls as well as some beads that I have. And I actually use those really cool resin stones that I love so much from the Garment District. And they've got veining in them, so they almost look like animal eyes or something. So those run all the way around this. So I'm really happy with that so far, and I'm hoping that the sleeves are going to fit once I get them assembled together. They've been kind of slow going because I had to hand sew all the bands on, but now that it's done, so I can get them stitched up and tried on tonight. And then this is all the stuff for my 1880s/90s project, which you can see over here. So this has been quite the beast to work on because it's so many pieces. There's going to be a jacket that goes over top of this too, but I want to finish everything else first. So there's the blouse, there's the vest, and then there's the skirt. And so far the skirt is the only piece that is finished. It's made out of silk taffeta that I had left over from McCall's project. And then I bought these really cool brass stampings in the shape of hands and buttons that I got in New Hampshire, and I combined them to do this faux closure down the front. It actually closes with snaps and a hook at the side. And then I've mimicked that on the collar of the blouse. And the blouse is heavily pleated and it just needs sleeves and then it will be finished. And the vest just needs closures and facings in the armholes and then it will be finished. I went ahead and got it lined last night. And I did a fitting with it this morning so I know where to put the buttonholes. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how all of these fabrics look together so far, and I'm really looking forward to getting this finished. And then over here we have something from 100 years in the future. So this is the 1980s Sewing Through the Decades project. So it is a pair of shorts and then this really boxy jacket, and all this needs is buttonholes. So 2 buttonholes right in that corner and then it will be finished. And this is what I'm going to put underneath it, made out of this fabric that has a lot of matching tones. You're really not going to see a lot of this for underneath the jacket, but I'm hoping I'll like it enough as a garment that I can wear it as a standalone piece. Then I'm also going to be making this dress out of a red fabric in my stash, which I'm really excited about. So those are 2 videos that you'll hopefully be seeing soon, along with the fabric haul that I previously mentioned. And speaking of videos you'll be seeing soon, there will be a mending vlog up at some point because I have a massive pile of stuff that needs either mending or minor alterations in my bedroom. Like, let me actually show you the pile because it's huge. I just pulled these 3 dresses out from my summer wardrobe. This needs kind of major fixes and repairs to it. This needs to have the hem let down. This I need to add a hook and eye to. This I have to switch out the buttons for because they don't actually stay closed. This is actually the 70s project. I forgot it was in here. Isn't it cute? I love how this turned out. I think it's adorable. And don't mind me already packing for the trip we're taking. But this tote bag is completely full of stuff that needs mending as well. So there's a ton in there, either things that I have alteration ideas for or things that need buttons added or hemmed or whatever. So it is quite the pile and it's definitely at least a single video's worth of stuff. Also, this is that hoop skirt I was talking about. So that is the update from my sewing room. I really hope you enjoyed and thank you so much for watching. I hope you're excited about these projects and hopefully I can get them finished up before the end of the month. Though we'll see if that happens given all of the things that I have to do. So keep an eye out for all of the videos that I mentioned in this video. I should have that fabric haul up to you very soon, as well as the March monthly vlog and the mending vlog and the 1980s and 70s stuff, though those still have to be filmed, so they might be a little bit longer. Thanks again for watching, and I will talk to all of you guys very soon. Here's my ring in a little bit more detail, by the way. The opal's actually cracked, but I think it's still really pretty and it fits me really nicely. I've always loved rings. I've just never bought one because I wanted it to be vintage. I wanted it to be relatively low profile so it wouldn't get caught when I was sewing and not have a lot of prongs that would catch, even if it was lower profile. And I also want it to be an opal because I love opals. So this just ticked all the boxes for me. So I decided to buy it, and then I liked it so much, and I liked being a ring person so much, that I got 2 other rings I've been eyeing up for a long time. The poppy ring is actually based off of Victorian jewelry. You can actually find enamel poppy pins and rings from the Victorian era, still being sold today, but they're a lot more expensive and they're a lot less detailed. And then this one I just thought matched it perfectly, and I really love the design of it as well. It's got a decorative band. And they're both really low profile, but very sparkly and nice. So these are silver, and I don't know how well they will hold up, or if they're really worth the price given the quality of the stones used for them. But I thought they were really beautiful, and I've been enjoying them a lot so far. I told my mom, now that I've run out of room for shoes and fabric and figurines, I need to move on to something else. And rings take up a lot less space than those things. So you might be seeing a few more additions to my fingers in the near future. And now I'm going for realsy because this camera is flashing that it's almost out of battery.